Hello everybody and welcome to this Grade Academy video. I am Mrs. Maths Ireland and this is lesson 1.3, Evaluating Expressions. So here again is the overview of the chapter, and evaluating expressions is one of the initial skills that we are going to learn here for algebra. What do I mean when I say I'm evaluating an expression? All right. So evaluating an expression literally means find the value of the statement by using the information that you have. So I am literally finding the value of a statement. So there will be some information provided to me. There's going to be X's and Y's, variables essentially, and we are going to have some values for those variables, and we are going to pop them in and see what the value of the expression actually is. Before we move on, though, I have a statement or a kind of a piece of information that I want to share with you. So if you look down here when I say FYI, okay? So FYI, when I say A is equal to 5, I literally mean that A has the exact same value as 5. They are identical. So that means, and this is the important bit, that I can replace A with 5 or 5 with A. So they can be swapped in and swapped out whenever it suits me. And I know this is kind of, it's obviously it's relevant to this topic, but it's a great little skill to know and to have in that toolbox ready to use in so many other topics, especially the likes of area and volume pops up a lot, functions and things like that. So it is relevant in quite a few different topics. So just know that if that equal sign is between them, it literally tells you that they are identical, okay? And just be aware of that. Right. Let's move on. So the best thing to do with evaluation expressions is to literally jump in and do some examples. I am literally going to replace A with 1, B with 3, and C with 4. And that's all you're going to do. Now, what I am going to say is when you are replacing the letters with the numbers, please put them in brackets because it does help you to really be able to visualize exactly what is happening. So I'm going to take this A here and I'm going to replace it with 1. But when I replace it, I put it into a bracket. So now it's very obvious that that is 2 bracket 1, not 21. Okay? And that is important. Again, when you're answering questions in an exam, you're in a pressurized, time confined situation. You read things wrong so easily. Silly mistakes can happen. And putting these kind of procedures in place like brackets prevent that from happening. Okay, so it's kind of like a safety net. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to move on here, and instead of B, I'm going to put a bracket in there and replace the B with 3, and then the C, so I don't need a bracket because there's nothing else around it, I'm putting in 4. With your BIMDAS, you're always going to do some number crunching, and we're going to do our indices first. So 1 cubed is 1, 3 squared is 9, and then we multiply out our brackets, so we get 2 plus 27 minus 4, and we work that out. Then we add, and then we subtract, we get 25. Okay, now I do appreciate that your calculator can do a lot of this work for you, but it is important that you show your workings. If for example, something does go wrong near the end of the solution, at least you are showing that you knew what to do and you did it correctly. There's a lot of merit in this stage here. Okay, there's a lot of merit there. So showing me that you knew exactly what to do with that 1, 3, and 4, putting in the right place, doing the right calculation in the right order, there's a lot of merit in that. Okay, so I'm talking that from an examiner's point of view. So make sure that you show me your workings and you give me a final answer, which is this one here. So that is full marks for that question. Let's try another one. And the reason I'm showing you this one is because there are fractions and we have a little bit of work to do with fractions down the road, but at the minute I want to make it very, very clear that a fraction is the same as any other number. It is literally just a number. yes, okay, it doesn't look the same, but the way you use it is pretty much exactly the same thing. It's just a value. All right. So again, I'm going to take B, oops, and I'm going to replace B with minus a half. Okay. I'm going to take my A, and I'm going to replace my A with a quarter. Plus, and then I'm going to take my C and replace it with that. So I write down everything identical, okay? So literally write it down exactly the way it is there. And then I start doing my number crunching. So what you can do is you can use your calculator for this if you need to. Your rules of fractions are important and you should know them. However, in a question like this, I'm not examining your calculations of fractions by hand, examining the process. Okay, so it's okay to use a calculator here. So when we work that out, we get a quarter. When we work this out, we get a half. And then that plus minus just leaves me with a minus. And we work these out. Again, your calculator can do the job or you can do it by hand. As an examiner, I don't really mind because that's not what I'm examining here. Okay, I just need you to make sure you get the right answer. So the value of that expression is -1 when I sub in that A, B, and C value. All right? Okay. So as you can see, it's the same style of process every single time. You just need to make sure you're subbing in the right place and you're subbing the right information in. Now, it's your turn. I want you to pause me and I want you to get going on this question and see can you fill it in correctly and get the correct answer. And then press play when you're ready to see the answer. Okay, I hope you gave that a good go and you give it a really good try. It's important to try. Don't be afraid to get things wrong, guys, okay? That's how you learn. So let's have a look at this one. Now, notice there's a little minus at the front. So again, I write everything down except the x. I replace that with a bracket, pop in the 4. Again, that should be 2. We have 2 by x by y, which is 2. Minus 8 by 2 plus 7. Okay, again, a lot of merit for writing that stuff in here. Next thing now is we're going to work this out. So you do your indices here. The minus isn't involved in that 4 squared, so that's going to give me minus 16. 2 by 4 by 2 is also 16. Minus 8 by 2 is also 16, minus 16, and our plus 7. Again, a bit of number crunching here. Your calculator can do the work for you, or if you want to try do it in your head, do that too. And we get an answer of -9 here. Okay, so the value of that expression is -9 when we have those two values for x and y. Okay, and every other evaluating an expression question you do is pretty much going to be the same thing. So it's very straightforward. Again, so you've got an example now with whole numbers and also fractions. So don't be afraid to use them. Okay, next thing. So one final piece of information before we move on is I've got some bonus information here for you, and it's more about being aware. So I definitely want to communicate with you through this whole Great Academy course is that I want you to be a bit more aware about what you're doing. Be present with the work that you're doing. And a part of that is as we go through, there's some observations I want to point out to you. So again, as we said, understanding that equal sign literally means two things are identical are the same, and that means that they can replace each other. You can switch them in and out depending on what you want to achieve in the question. This observation is very, very relevant in other topics, okay? And two topics in particular is your functions and graphs, your perimeter, area, and volume, which I did mention at the start. Those two topics really do use this idea of, well, if something is equal, well, I can swap them out and, alter it slightly. So that idea is very important. When we get to that stage, we will revisit it again, so don't worry, but just be aware of what the equal sign actually means, all right? So this has been lesson 1.3, evaluating expressions. I hope you enjoyed it and you found it helpful. I am Mrs. Maths Ireland, and I will see you in lesson 1.4. And don't forget, happy learning!